Two free agents that have been widely rumored to be joining a Bray Wyatt faction in WWE are spotted last night in the crowd during WWE NXT on the USA Network. Speaking of NXT, there was a William Regal reference during last night's broadcast hinting at the return of the former NXT general manager after his departure from AEW. The New Day will be challenging for the NXT Tag Team Championships this weekend. We've got more details on that. Speaking of NXT, we also have the latest names in the Iron Survivor Challenge this weekend at NXT Deadline. Austin Theory apologizes to a WWE star backstage after Raw this week. The Usos top the tag team PWI100 list. We've got an update on WWE's live event plans for India next year. We've got the ratings for this week's edition of Raw, including the lowest single hour in Monday Night Raw history. Details on that, plus an update on the future of NXT premium live events being on the road. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. So let's start off talking about Vincent. Yes, Vincent, and this is quite an interesting one because there have been a lot of talks about a Bray Wyatt faction. There have been a lot of talks about people coming in, free agents, and being involved. And this has got people talking. So Vincent and Dutch of the Righteous were spotted sitting in the crowd during last night's episode of WWE NXT. According to PW Insider, the former Ring of Honor stars are presently in Orlando, Florida as part of the ongoing WWE Performance Center tryouts. As noted previously, former NWA and AEW star Kylie Ray and former MLW star Casey Navarro are also participating in the tryouts that will continue through the end of the week. While it's unknown if the Righteous have signed with WWE, fans on social media have pointed out that Vincent and Dutch were previously rumored to be part of Bray Wyatt's Wyatt6 stable. In fact, Wyatt himself acknowledged a social media post from Dutch a few months back, which seemed to hint at some sort of alliance between the two wrestlers. In October, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer reported that Vincent and Dutch were among the list of wrestlers being considered for the Wyatt6 stable, besides other wrestlers such as Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Grayson Waller, Joe Gacy, and Bo Dallas. Now, Vincent most recently wrapped up a stint with Impact Wrestling, where he was part of the Honor No More faction. Dutch hasn't really been prominent in a match since the July 23 Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view, where Vincent, Dutch, and Tyler Bateman lost their Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships to Dalton Castle and the Boys. Since that AEW/Ring of Honor event, Dutch has wrestled only a handful of independent dates for promotions such as NEW and Beyond Wrestling. Now, when it comes to Bray Wyatt, there's still uncertainty with regard to the creative direction of Wyatt on SmackDown, where the former Universal Champion remains entangled in a storyline with LA Knight. Over the past few weeks, Uncle Howdy has threatened to unmask himself and uncover the lies spewed by Wyatt, who continues to deny a role in the Knight being attacked by having a beatdown in the backstage area on several occasions. Whilst it's too early to speculate, the belief among fans on social media is that Uncle Howdy's eventual unveiling will lead to the debut of the Wyatt6 stable. And when it comes to all of this Wyatt6 stable, I'm still not convinced that we're going to see that. My opinion from the start has really been that the Wyatt6 faction is just going to be 6 personalities of Bray Wyatt. I think we're going to be looking at a similar situation to the movie Split. And I think that's going to be Bray Wyatt having all of these different personalities that he's not aware of and he's not that really conscious of. So you've got Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, who's been appearing on SmackDown so far. You've got Uncle Howdy, which is, again, Bray Wyatt in a mask. You've got The Fiend. You've got the Firefly Funhouse. You've got possibly the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt. And then maybe you've got Husky Harris. And that's all you need to have 6 Bray Wyatt personalities. I think, again, that's where we're going with that, but we'll have to wait and see. Nevertheless, we could see, I guess, Vincent and Dutch in NXT fairly soon. They've been rumored for a while, and they've been, I guess, on WWE's radar for a while. So whether or not it was just them taking in the show, or whether it's a hint at something to come in the future, we'll have to wait and see. One person that is going to be coming in the future, of course, is William Regal after departing AEW. And there was a reference to the former NXT general manager last night on NXT on the USA Network, with all reports indicating that William Regal is departing AEW and returning to WWE. He was referenced during last night's episode of NXT. On last night's NXT, a backstage bit was played that was actually previously released on WWE's social media page, featuring NXT star Hank Walker approaching Charlie Dempsey backstage. He had some interesting dialogue, telling Charlie he wasn't in a wrestling ring at 4 years old like Charlie was. Walker referenced that he didn't have a famous wrestling father, while Charlie Dempsey, of course the real-life son of William Regal, has been referenced in veiled references to having world-class training in professional wrestling. Regal had not been previously referenced. Well, Dempsey went on to accept Hank Walker's challenge for a match and went on to handily defeat Walker. There was another interesting detail to the match. During the match, a familiar face appeared at ringside to observe as SmackDown star Drew Gulak watched the match and wordlessly left afterwards. There have been speculation that maybe Regal could return to NXT and manage his son. It's a strange one because sometimes in professional wrestling they like to go two ways. They either like to really reference the past and talk about their family, or they like to just ignore it at all. They tried to do that with Bron Breakker, and then they embraced the fact that he's a Steiner, even though his last name is still Breakker. I don't know if they're going to go in the same direction with William Regal's son. I'm not sure. I mean, by all accounts, William Regal's return to WWE is going to be primarily in a backstage role, but at the same time, William Regal's been really, really effective on AEW television as a talent, as a character, proving that he still has a lot to offer when that red light is on. Whether or not he's just going to be the NXT general manager, whether he's going to manage his son, whether we're not going to see him on screen at all, remains to be seen. But Regal, certainly, one thing is for sure, is headed back to WWE and possibly NXT as well. Speaking of NXT, The New Day are in NXT right now. Pretty Deadly has accrued a pretty good run for the second time as being NXT Tag Team Champions so far. The duo, comprised of Elton Prince and Kip Wilson, first emerged onto the WWE landscape in 2019 as part of the NXT UK brand, winning its tag team titles in 2021. Pretty Deadly officially emigrated to NXT earlier this year in the US, racking up the vacant NXT tag team titles before losing them 2 months later. Prince and Wilson soon regained their gold in a four-way elimination match to unify the NXT and NXT UK tag team championships at Worlds Collide in September. Since winning the bouts back, the team has gone on to compete and complete an impressive series of successful title defenses, defeating the likes of the Brawling Brutes and Chase U. But now they'll put their titles on the line against one of the most decorated tag teams to ever grace WWE. On last night's edition of NXT, Pretty Deadly celebrated the holiday season by reading their unique iteration of the night before Christmas, proclaiming their tag team titles victory and their tag team titles will never fall from their grasp as they defeated all opponents that have stepped up to them. The New Day begged to differ though, as Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods surprised the champions with their arrival to NXT, challenging them to a match for the tag team championships. After the New Day cleared the ring of Prince and Wilson, the match was later made official. Pretty Deadly will defend the NXT Tag Team Championships against one of the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history at the Deadline event on Saturday, December 10, as the New Day look to add new belts to their collection. This is going to be interesting because, look, if Pretty Deadly beat the New Day, that's very, very, very significant and it would be a massive victory for them. At the same time, what are the New Day doing? They might as well be in NXT. Not as a demotion, but they might as well because, I mean, I think they're probably doing it just again to get people watching and to get people tuning in this Saturday. But at the same time, what are they doing on NXT? On SmackDown, rather. Not all that much. They just had the match against the Usos, which they lost. Now what do? They're not going to face the Usos again. What other tag teams are there for them really to face off against? And they'd just be doing stuff that they've already done before on the main roster. So why not? Why not have them come to NXT? Why not have them hold the NXT Tag Team Championships until, say, WrestleMania next year? Have them have a bit of a run, have them face some tag teams, and then put over whoever that tag team, future tag team will be that they drop the titles to, whether it's Pretty Deadly, whether it's someone else, I don't know. But I don't see anything wrong with that. I really don't. I think that the New Day winning the tag team titles, they've won every single tag team championships there is in WWE, apart from the NXT Tag Team Championships, because Big E came through NXT. He was the NXT champion. Xavier Woods was in NXT for a brief second. Kofi Kingston came through FCW. He didn't even come through NXT. So I think that'd be fun. And it goes back to, this is kind of what Triple H wanted in the first iteration of NXT, his first iteration of NXT, particularly when it moved to the USA Network, is that those talents that were on Raw and SmackDown that weren't being used or didn't have anything at the time, come to NXT for a few months, you know, just try something different, or just to have time away from the mainstream television and and add some credence, add some credibility to the NXT roster. Why not? So I'm all for this. I think this is great. Of course, NXT Deadline is this coming weekend, and we now have the full participants in the Iron Survivor Challenge. The final competitors for the men and women's Iron Survivors Challenge matches were decided during last night's episode of NXT. Axiom defeated Andre Chase and Von Wagner, so he will now be joining Carmelo Hayes, JD McDonough, Grayson Waller, and Joe Gacy in the men's Iron Survivor Challenge match. Indy Hartwell defeated Wendy Chu and Fallon Henley to secure her spot for the women's Iron Survivor Challenge match. She'll be joining Cora Jade, Zoe Stark, and Kiana James and Roxanne Perez. Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative Shawn Michaels announced on the November 15 edition of NXT the rules for the Iron Survivor Challenges. 2 WWE superstars begin the match, and a new wrestler comes out every 5 minutes until all 5 competitors are in the ring. When the match reaches the 25-minute mark, the winner of the match is the one who has the most points. The NXT superstars get points for every successful pinfall, submission, or disqualification. The winner of the respective matches will get shots at the NXT Championship and NXT Women's Championship as well. I still have my reservations about how complicated and convoluted this match seems, but maybe they'll pull it off on Saturday. We'll have to wait and see. Austin Theory apologized during this week's edition of Raw, or after rather, because of a botched spot during his match. Austin Theory was reportedly very apologetic in the backstage area for botching a top rope Hurricane Rana spot during his United States Championship defense against Mustafa Ali on this week's edition of Raw in Washington, D.C. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, there was no heat between Theory and Ali for the mistimed spot, and the champion took full responsibility for the slip-up and offered an apology to Ali. The botching question, which took place about midway through the match, could be attributed to Theory not holding on to Ali, which led to both men crashing awkwardly to the mat. Fightful's report added that the original plan was for Theory to block the Hurricane Rana and lift Ali up for a powerbomb, following which Ali was supposed to counter the block attempt back into a Hurricane Rana. However, Theory not holding on to Ali led to both men crashing face first into the mat. Immediately after the botched spot, Ali hit a satellite DDT for a near pinfall, which was reportedly an audible that was called after Ali by Ali after the two wrestlers got back to their feet. Fightful also added that it was Ali who asked the referee to check on Theory so the match could continue. Eventually, of course, Dolph Ziggler returned, took out Theory with a super kick, which led to a DQ finish in the match. As noted previously, Theory's next challenger for the US Championship will be decided on next week's edition of Raw, where Seth freaking Rollins and Bobby Lashley will square off in a #1 contenders match. Theory had defeated Rollins and Lashley in a triple threat match at Survivor Series to begin his second reign as the United States Champion. WWE has yet, though, to announce the date for Theory's next title defense. So Theory apologetic, botches happen, and again, as long as there's not those weird accounts like, botch, mistake, what a sloppy... Mistakes happen, it's live TV, they only get one take, so they've got to make it work. The Usos get recognition for being the best tag team in the world, as according to the PWI list. For over 500 days, the Usos have reigned as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and about 300 days into that reign, they defeated RK Bro to become the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. Their efforts during Pro Wrestling Illustrated's grading period for tag teams were not in vain, as the Usos topped the charts for the first time, as FTR won the award in 2020 and the Young Bucks last year. Not everyone, as always with these lists, agrees with the Usos receiving the top spot in the chart, as Jay Briscoe, one half of the Briscoes, a tag team that finished third, tweeted out, quote, "Imagine if we weren't banned from TV. Usos my ass. Hashtag dem boys." The Briscoes have not been used on WWE or AEW programming due to Jay's controversial comments in the past, some homophobic comments in a few years ago. The Briscoes are not the only team who are not happy with their ranking, as Dax Harwood of FTR, a team that finished second, tweeted out, quote, "Did Paul Heyman write this issue? Cause this, easy for me to say, cause this is full of lies." Harwood's tag team partner Cash Wheeler was a little more positive regarding the ranking as he tweeted out, "Congrats, Usos. We've been feeling Usy since 2019. Attached to tweet was a gif of FTR and the Usos from an episode of Raw in 2019. Following the responses the Usos have received, they tweeted out, "A lot of salty ass tag teams out there, huh? Hashtag we the ones." To be honest, look, with these lists, I never get too involved in them really at all, because this is why they're made. They're made, one, to recognize talent, but realistically, they're made to generate conversation and generate debate. and generate people having their opinions and generate people being outraged or people agreeing and then getting on social media or getting on videos like this or going and buying the issue and saying, oh, I want to see if the Usos were top, who was second, who was third. That's why they're put out there, to generate conversation. That's where you get the money back off them, you know, to call a spade in this one. So that's what it's all about. So I never add too much credit to them. And look, it's just one person's opinion. You might believe they were right, you might believe they were wrong. That's list. They're arbitrary at the end of the day. And if you disagree, then you disagree. If you agree, then you agree. We can all agree on, I think, that the people in certainly the top part of those lists are some of the best tag teams in the world. And I hope they all face off in the future. We have an update on the WWE live event from India scheduled for next year. New details have emerged regarding an upcoming WWE live show that will be held in India this coming January. The company has not held a live event in the country since December 2017, and according to PW Insider, the upcoming show will take place Wednesday, January 18. It will be held in Hyderabad, India at the Gachibowli Indoor Stadium, a 5,000-seat venue that opened back in 2002. WWE has not made yet an official announcement regarding the show, but PW Insider claims that will mostly feature stars from the SmackDown brand. Of course, in 2021, WWE produced a TV special designed specifically for the Indian market that was known as Superstar Spectacle, and actually it did really, really well. The event was released to coincide with Republic Day, a public holiday in India where the country marks and celebrates the date in which the Constitution of India first came into effect. In the main event of Superstar Spectacle, then WWE Champion Drew McIntyre teamed up with Indus Sher to defeat the Bollywood Boys and Jinder Mahal. No matches have been announced for the upcoming show, but certainly it's a big event that WWE is looking and hoping to make a really big impact in India. Let's talk about the ratings for this week's edition of Raw, and some not good numbers. The viewership figure and demo rating for Monday's edition of Raw on the USA Network has been revealed. Per Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, Raw drew 1.536 million viewers, which of course is down significantly from the November 28 edition that drew 1.668 million viewers. This is the lowest total viewership for the program since the October 31st episode. The viewership drop was due to the third hour drawing the lowest number for a single hour on Raw ever. Let me say that again. The viewership drop primarily was due to the third hour drawing the lowest number for a single hour on Raw ever. In the 18 to 49 demographic, Monday's show scored a 0.41 rating, which is actually up from the week prior that scored a 0.40 rating. The episode featured Bayley defeating Asuka and Rhea Ripley, while Alexa Bliss defeated Nikki Cross and Becky Lynch in two separate triple threat matches. They're going to face each other next week. Also, the Usos defeated Matt Riddle and Kevin Owens to retain the tag team championships, but that third hour sucks. It always has. But it's not changing anytime soon. As I mentioned, USA Network offered WWE so much money. And I know you would say, well, Triple H has changed all of these things. Is he going to change the third hour of Raw? No, they won't, because it's just the money that WWE get offered is just so big. And it's just so much. That really is what it is when it comes to Monday Night Raw. Because USA Network figured out a long time ago, actually, you know what? That third hour, it might have lower numbers and it might make Raw objectively a worse program, but it draws more people in, even at its lowest, than any other show would during that time slot. So we're going to pay WWE a lot of money because it keeps people tuned in during that period of time, because wrestling still draws, even though this number's not very good. And that's not going to change unless WWE decide, look, you know, when it comes to you know, money and all that kind of stuff, we're happy to make the loss in that case. I don't know, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. Finally, there's an update, a positive update when it comes to NXT Premium Live Events. Some big news has emerged regarding the future Premium Live Events held under the NXT banner, which should have some fans pleased. Of course, the most recent live events, or majority of live events, have taken place at the Performance Center in Orlando. But according to WrestleVotes on Twitter, NXT will be returning to the road for future Premium Live Events held under the developmental banner, beginning as soon as February 4th. Quote, hearing some great news out of the Performance Center this afternoon, source states NXT is returning to the road for their future Premium Live Events, starting with Vengeance Day on February 4th from Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, NXT had not held a Premium Live Event to take place outside of Florida since Stand and Deliver on April 2nd in Dallas, Texas. Prior to that, the last Premium Live Event to take place outside Florida was NXT TakeOver Portland, which took place in the Moda Center in Oregon in February of 2020. Of course, after tours were put on hold due to the COVID-19 pandemic, NXT never really returned to its old travel schedule. As such, the announcement signals something of a return to form for the brand. I think also the NXT 2.0 wasn't really drawing as well. So Here's the hope that NXT's kind of moving back to where they were before. So NXT's going to be going back on the road for the big premium live event. It's going to be interesting to see how well indeed it does draw. But there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.